So you're a vocalist and you've always loved that incredible sounds that choirs have, and you just want to have that effect that's incredible. So how do we create a choir around a melody that you want to expand? Maybe you just want to obtain an effect like this. Anybody. Or like this. Somebody true. So yeah, I've shown you two Queen examples. They are one of the bands that most used this effect of the choir. They've always used in their songs, and it's very common to them. And what I'm going to take under example is Some Nights by Fun, which is a song that's entirely made by choirs, and it actually starts with a choir. The one that says, "Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck." So what tracks do we have to record in order to have the entire choir? What are the single tracks that we have to record, and the specific parts that we have then to bring together and then create the effect of a choir? And so to obtain an effect like this one. Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a drop. So Some Nights is in a very simple key, in the key of C major. And so the chord is some nights I stay up. And so what you have to do is simply reply in the three notes of the chord for every track that you're going to record. And then the song just bounces between these two chords. So C major, F major, and then at the end G major. Some nights I call it a drum. And so what you have to do is simply reply in the notes that you see in the chords and then record them in different tracks. So let's say that for first thing we want to do is to record the fifth note of every chord. Since the chords are these, the notes we have to reply are exactly this. So the first track should be some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a drop. So we started with the fifth note of every chord. Now let's do the first note of every chord. So it's C, then F, and then G. So these are exactly the keys of each chord. So we are taking under consideration the key notes of every chord, because if I'm saying G major, of course the key note is G. So the notes we're gonna be singing are these. Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a drop. So if we put them together, the result would be like this. Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a drop. Okay, now this is a bit more difficult. We have to do the third note of every chord. And that can be, you know, like a little bit confusing, because when you're trying to record, it's usually easier to do the first note and then the fifth note, and the third usually is a little bit difficult. Third notes of each of these chords are. Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a drop. So now if we hear them together, we have a sort of neutral effect where everything seems to be like flat. We just hear chords, that there's no melody, of course. Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a drop. So now to enrich the choir and make it bigger, we have to make some octaves. So for example, let's choose the fifth note of every chord and record it an octave down, so a little bit lower. So if we sang these notes, we're going to sing these notes. Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a drop. Let's hear them together and you will see that it sounds very richer than before. Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a drop. Okay, now this is a fundamental part. This is the bass. And in a choir, that it's going to sound as something that is screamed and shouted, like some nights I stay up. So it's something that's very angry. You can't not put the bass. That's something very important. It gives so much power to the choir that you can't imagine, and that has to be a little bit boosted if you can with the equalization and make the bass a little bit higher, so that when you put headphones on, you can hear it very good. Of course, when you sing the bass, you have to sing the key notes of every chord. Necessarily, they have to be these. Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a drop. So when you hear it now, you will hear it's much more complete. The sound now seems to be very richer because you have completed all the frequencies, which is very important in a choir, that you actually fulfill every single frequency. So the really high ones and the really bass ones. Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a drop. Now let's go to the main part. Of course, the choir parts can be sang very softly because their only job is to accompany what you're singing, so they don't have to be sang with particular passion or particular expression, you know. So the main part, in a case like Some Nights, you're going to sing it very loudly and expressively, of course. Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a draw. And now let's hear the final result. Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a drop. Okay, and that's all. What I suggest you to do with the equalization and stuff is to put the key notes, they have to be equalized with. Maybe you can just boost a little bit the bass, as I said before, and in the same time you can even go hard with compression, which is very useful for choirs because it gives them like, of course, a much more united effect, so it doesn't feel like every voice is separated one to the other, but it's like they have been recorded in the same room. So thank you very much for watching. If you want to subscribe to my channel, just click below, and in the description you can go to my very last album and see all my social network profiles and stuff. So thanks again, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Anymore.